We'll basically, for the benefit of anybody who was unable to attend either last meeting or this one, Ken and I will go through the project again. That way, Casey can post it on the website, and anyone who has an interest in looking through it will be able to take a look. So, Ken, if you'd like to start with the scope of the project.
If we were all here, do we need to go over it again?
Yes.
Okay, the quick overview of the water project, as I explained last time. There's three basic components to a water system, a public water supply. The source of the water, in this case 2 wells, the storage of that same water, a storage tank, and then the distribution of that water through a network of pipes. This project is going to address deficiencies in all 3 areas, beginning with the well, in that at well number 1, there's 2 major things that need to be rectified. 1, the existing well is below ground level, and 2, the structure itself is completely in disrepair. So that would be raised to the normal grade, and the structure would be replaced. At the storage tank, we've got a long history with a reservoir in the past, then a concrete structure open, and then a leaky concrete structure, and now lined with a vinyl cover that is going to be replaced, again, a key component in particularly fire protection. So the proposal there is to completely eliminate the concrete structure and replace it with a new tank, similar size, 350,000 gallons, with a glass-lined steel tank. The last piece is the distribution system. It's color-coded on this drawing, and essentially what it represents is that we are looking to replace primarily the undersized and oldest water mains that remain in the system. The focus being the continuation down State Street, where we have 4-inch main, replacing it with 12-inch. Similarly, Clinton Street, a portion of Warren Street, again, replacing 4 with 12. The red represents where we will put new 8-inch piping in, replacing old undersized mains. Again, 4-inch Onondaga Street, Onondaga Court, Sunny Drive, Skaden Terrace, Austin Road, and the balance of Warren Street. And there are 2 areas here at the ends of Sunny Drive and Onondaga Court where we will link the 2 termination points to eliminate the dead ends. And likewise at the end of Austin Road, take the new main, the new 8-inch main, down the hill and connect it to the existing 12-inch, which we put in 5-6 years ago when the reconstruction of Route 80 took place. And that's essentially the pieces of the puzzle, if you will. All 3 are significant, and these issues really need to be rectified if we're going to get this system back up to where it should be, with, again, a major benefit being fire protection, fire flows, and adequacy of serving the community.
Okay, that's great. And we're going to open at this time to any questions you might have. If anybody has questions, I see we actually have a visitor. So just to cover, for the sake of the discussion, some of the questions that came up last time. And I know a number of people have said, why don't we go with Aqua? As discussed in the last meeting, Aqua currently is in a different, all their current systems are in a different watershed. We are actually in a separate watershed based on the fact that we're the Great Divide here for the northeast part of the U.S. We are part of the Chesapeake Bay watershed. The rest of the county is part of the St. Lawrence Seaway watershed, so there are different concerns with that. All of Aqua's water is currently out of lakes, open source water. We take ours out of the aquifer that runs down through the Cortland Valley. So there, again, are very different regulations with that. When I had approached Aqua in the past, they really have no interest in working on our particular system, both because we are geographically completely separate from any of their other systems we could never connect in, and because of the fact that we're on different sets of regulations for both our bringing the water up, but also any kind of spilling or leakage that might occur. So that was a concern about Aqua. Another question that we got during the first meeting that I thought was also an excellent question is, with the current push through the state of New York to consolidate municipalities, what happens if the village ever were to be consolidated with the town? And my answer to that is, from my understanding, the entire area that is covered currently by our water system would become a separate water district within the town, basically a department run by the town. So any fees that were incurred in the process of doing this or in running the system would then be similarly billed as they are currently, but it would be managed by the town. I'm trying to think what the other questions were. This, in addition to fixing these three aspects of the water system, this project also ensures that anything that is dug up, whether that is streets, sidewalks, yards, and whatnot, is replaced and set back to the condition that it originated, or better. Obviously, if we repair sidewalks and whatnot, we'll put them back to a current, a nice, clean, smooth surface, which many of ours are not currently. So the restoration work is all included in the cost of this project, as is all the administrative work, the accounting, the bond counsel, the legal work, and so forth. All the engineering, all of that is laid out. If anybody's interested in seeing the details of this, the clerk's office has the full breakdown. It also has the other options we originally considered, and so that you can actually read and see what the 4 different options were. We picked the second option. It was a mid-grade option that basically remedies all the most egregious problems with the system. It doesn't fix everything. There were additional things we wanted to do, but to do everything was just what we deemed that was just too expensive, and we couldn't stomach that. So we went kind of middle of the road with this system instead of repairs. So at this point, I'll say, does anybody have any other questions?
Kim, do you know where the majority of the mains lie? Are they in the street?
Are they what?
Where the majority of the mains lie that are going to be replaced? Are they like in the street and sidewalks?
Many of them are under the pavement, and that's one of the objectives in the relocation, and we were talking about alignment, in that we have the opportunity now, as we do this, as we started down State Street, getting it either under the sidewalk, behind the curb, in the green space between the sidewalk, so that future repairs, you don't get into digging up your streets. And Onondaga Street is another very good example where we've already come across State in an alignment to be able to stay on the south side out of the street. And separations to sewer is always a consideration there, but that's the vast
So
majority.
probably, if the ones that are in the street obviously will get torn up. I guess the one area obviously I'm looking at, because I live on Onondaga Street, and I've heard it from many of the residents on that street already, given the amount of truck traffic that goes through now,
Yeah.
and the dust and the pollution and the noise, with a street that's going to be torn up down, probably dirt, gravel, what that's going to be like.
Well, it won't be in the street, so it won't be torn up.
They'll actually, when they
See,
did,
So the old main is just going to be
Left,
left
yes.
right underneath the street, and it'll just be
correct.
rerouted? Okay.
The old mains, what happened is at the point of reconnection, basically, like in that case at Railroad Street, and also then at the new main where we're beginning at the intersection of State and Onondaga, you transfer basically and ultimately abandon, cut off, cap, and leave that old 4-inch main. You don't go out there and dig it all up.
yeah, that way we're not wrecking the streets through the entire
Yeah,
village during the
there are
project.
places you have to go
Yeah,
out to
yeah.
it because you gotta make that disconnection.
Yeah.
But as a routine, no. Like State Street, we're not gonna dig that up because we're just simply gonna put a new one down the west side.
One other question, and you may not know based upon surveying that I've heard. Do we know, for example, the top blue main is going to go from the water tank over? Do
This
we
one
know
here?
what property that's going to be coming through? Ditto with the other ones where the mains, the one that comes down to State?
This isn't gonna be replaced. All of
Okay.
the blue is what's existing and not to be
existing, okay,
replaced.
okay, okay.
So all of the other 3 colors, the red, the green, and the yellow, is actually the project
Okay.
in terms of water mains.
All right, so like the yellow one coming down, that property, and that one would be probably the Morgans to, I don't know who's on the other side, Sunny Court there.
Oh, in terms of properties?
Yeah, in terms
Correct,
of-
those are negotiated easements
Mhm.
when we're dealing with private properties. And you already have a sewer easement, and you may or may not be
Yeah.
aware of this, that the Austin Road sewer actually goes right down the hill, adjacent to the post office through that property. We would seek another water easement for that stretch, and here there, I believe, having looked at the tax maps, it would involve 2 properties, the one at the end of Sunny Drive and the one at the end of Onondaga
Yeah.
Court on the east side.
Yeah, which is-
And I would be going up the west side of Sunny, so I don't have to cross through multiple properties. Yeah, so there will be selected locations and that's inevitable.
Yeah, okay.
And that actually, that's a good question, because all those easements are part of the legal work that's included in the calculation for the amount of the actual project. Any other questions? Please.
Now, it's going through on the south side of Onondaga Street.
I'm pretty well up in the 95 to 100% category of yes. It's one of those things, until I get into truly the design, that's why I'm not going to tell you 100%. But having noodled this to the point where I've walked it and done all the seeker work on it and this type of thing, I'm feeling pretty confident it's going to be on that south side. That worked out, and I believe between the existence of the natural gas lines, which is always an issue, and the sanitary sewer alignments and space separations, that oftentimes drives, okay, where you're going to end up. You almost have no choice sometimes. And south side, I'm almost certain, is pretty well the case.
When they did the line 2 years ago on State Street,
Correct.
that's still all muddy at the corner of State and Onondaga. That has never been,
There has been
Taken care
a
of.
restoration problem there with that grass right from the get-go. Don't deny it. We tried to make a good choice with sod, and one of the recurring problems is the turning radius for trucks.
I put a barrier there.
Oh, you live right near there?
I cut my son's lawn. I'm on the north side of Onondaga.
Gotcha, I knew where you
And
were.
my son is
I
on
knew you were.
and I cut the lawn
Right.
there. And it's just mud.
On your side?
No,
On the
on the
south
south
side.
side. It's all mud at the corner.
Yeah, and it is. It's where the trucks go up over the curbing
Oh.
there and they squash
I
the
just
grass
put
and it
a
dies.
concrete barricade.
Gotcha. We knew about it until that intersection either gets reconfigured. You've got a business there that unfortunately, not unfortunately, but by the nature of it, has these large trucks that intersection is difficult.
Well, if we fill that in with concrete, we have no more mud.
Yeah,
Right,
this
well,
is
that's
true.
true. And that's something we may need to consider.
Yeah, I mean, there's
It's
portions
something
where
we
you
look
end
at.
up going to a hard surface where it's truly not worth trying to maintain a grass. You're correct. I mean, that's an
And in
option.
front of the school, it looks like
Oh, I know, it's a
crap
constant,
when you
I
had your
know.
Memorial Day
Right.
ceremonies there
Right.
and then the concert.
It's all weeds.
I know.
Uh-huh.
It's all weeds and it was sod, but it all stank.
No
So
denying any of
That
that.
should be,
We have
Addressed.
actually,
That's something that's from the previous contract. We still have their money because they
Yeah.
haven't completed the proper restoration work, and we've been holding a good
$7,000.
$7,000 until they complete that work, which they have not yet done.
well, why don't you give it to me, the seven?
Is this being
Unfortunately, we
recorded?
can't
And I'll
legally
do
do
my
that.
best,
We've gotten to the point, though, that we've
which
held
may
it.
be worse than their best.
We've held it long enough at this point that we are now legally allowed to remedy it ourselves and charge them out of that money that we've held in order to do that work. But we have to hold it for a certain period of time before we're legally permitted to do that. We tried to ask nicely several times now, and they're just not quite bothering. So we'll work on that this summer. It's hard to grow grass here in the winter, unfortunately, so this is the time to be doing that. So are there any other questions? All right, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. All right, and we'll take a little break at this point, and then we'll rearrange the tables. So